Hello everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the definition of welding, classification of welding, and also we discussed about the detailed working principle of that arc welding as well as that resistance welding. You all know that arc welding belongs to that fusion welding, whereas that resistance welding belongs to that pressure welding category. And we have one more welding process here, that is gas welding, and again this gas welding belongs to that fusion welding category. So let us see what is this gas welding now, and what is the working principle of this gas welding, and where this gas welding will be used. Let us discuss in detail regarding this gas welding. So we'll begin with this gas welding now. It is a fusion welding in which a strong gas flame is used to raise the temperature of workpiece to melt them. Okay, as I said, this gas welding will comes under fusion welding. You all know what is that fusion welding already. Yes, again that is what this gas welding will also comes under that fusion welding, and in this gas welding, a strong gas flame will be used to raise the temperature of the workpiece and as well as to melt those workpiece. And in the gas welding, we will make use of a strong gas flame, and that gas flame temperature will be very high, and that will be sufficient enough to raise the temperature of those two metal workpieces which are to be joined, as well as that heat will be sufficient enough to melt both the workpieces. And as you all know that in case of this fusion welding, we will apply that heat at a point of joint to the workpieces, and as soon as you apply that heat, that metal pieces will undergo melting and will form a molten pool, and that molten pool after solidification will form a strong joint. So that is what fusion welding we discussed. So in the gas welding, we will make use of a strong gas flame that will be used to raise the temperature of workpiece as well as to melt the workpiece. And after melting, it will form a molten pool, and after solidification that forms a strong joint. So that procedure, that is a principle behind this gas welding. And let us see what are the gases which can be used in case of this gas welding, and what will be the temperature of the gas flame now. Next, you can see that the gas that can be used for heating are one set of gas is oxygen and acetylene, and another set of gas is that oxygen and hydrogen. You can make use of any one set here. We will go for this oxygen and acetylene, or even you can go for this combination of oxygen and hydrogen gas. So this oxyacetylene gas mixture is most commonly used in the gas welding. That is this first one, oxygen and acetylene. This mixture is most commonly used in case of gas welding. So we'll see that what is that oxyacetylene welding. So in case of this, they may ask that question like explain that oxyacetylene gas welding directly, or even if they explain that gas welding, you need to write regarding this oxyacetylene welding or oxyacetylene gas welding. Let us see this, what is this oxyacetylene gas welding here. Here in case of this oxyacetylene welding, the right proportions of the oxygen and acetylene are mixed in a welding torch, and then it will be ignited. The flame produced is known as oxyacetylene flame. As already we discussed in the basics of this gas welding, it's like a strong gas flame will be used to heat that metal part as well as to melt the work pieces. So that flame here, it is oxyacetylene flame. It will be produced by supplying the right proportion of oxygen and acetylene, and when these oxygen and acetylene gases mixed in the welding torch, and when it comes out of that welding torch, it will be ignited, and at ignition of this gaseous mixture will produce a flame, that is oxyacetylene flame. This oxyacetylene flame will be having a temperature of around 1200 degree Celsius. So the temperature attained and this welding is around and the temperature attained in this welding is around 3200 degrees Celsius, hence has an ability to melt all commercial metals. So as soon as that flame is produced, that is oxyacetylene flame, that oxyacetylene flame will be having a temperature of around 3200 degrees Celsius, and this oxyacetylene flame has an ability to melt all the commercial metals. So that's why this oxyacetylene welding can be used for welding of that any commercial metals. So we have a simple diagram for this oxyacetylene welding, as you can see here. So this is just one part of the diagram. So before this, the right diagram, it is one part of the diagram, and this one is another part of the diagram where they have shown that how that welding has been taking place. And here, whereas in case of this right diagram, it is showing all the important components of this oxyacetylene gas welding. Let us see one by one now. So this is, even you can combine these two diagrams. This is very simple actually. You can write this flame somewhat bit in the longer flame, and then here you can write this entire workpiece and this filler rod and this filler rod. That is more than enough. This will give, this is actually this same thing. They have given the tip of the torch. You can see that is the torch tip, and this is the flame actually they have shown here. Instead of writing this, or instead of writing the separate diagram, you can write somewhat that larger flame, and at the end of the larger flame you can write that workpiece, and you can add this filler rod to this side. That is, I will tell you why this filler rod and all here used here actually. And here we have this in a gas welding. We can see there that most important components are, like we have that, as we just discussed about, it makes use of that oxygen gas as well as acetylene gas. So to store that oxygen, we have one cylinder here, that is oxygen cylinder, and to store that acetylene we require one more cylinder, this is acetylene cylinder. And these two cylinders, that is oxygen cylinder and acetylene cylinder, will be provided with some pressure gauges, just to check what is the pressure of that oxygen and acetylene in the cylinder, as well as what is the pressure of that oxygen and acetylene which is going out of this cylinders. We have valves to control the flow of that oxygen as well as that acetylene. And you can see there, these two are the hoses or pipe connections which connects this oxygen cylinder and acetylene cylinder to this welding torch. So this is the most important thing, that is welding torch. Here in the case of welding torch, you can see there, so this oxygen gas and the acetylene gas which comes here will be mixed properly here. That is, mixing up of oxygen and acetylene gases will be taking place in this welding torch. And in this again we have regulators here to control that flow of that a mixture of oxygen and acetylene gases. And here we will be having some nozzle and all. So you all know that in the nozzle where that expansion taking place and velocity will be increased there. So that was not shown clearly here, but there will be some nozzles and all. If you want to show, you can show it, otherwise no problem. Show this thing as simply a welding torch. And in a welding torch, as I said, that mixture of oxygen and acetylene will be taking place, and that oxygen and acetylene flow will be controlled by these two regulators. And then this is a tip of the torch actually, that oxygen and acetylene mixture, as soon as it comes out, it will be ignited with a separate fire source, and that will be ignited, and as soon as it gets ignited, it will produce us that flame, that is oxyacetylene flame. And the temperature of that oxyacetylene flame, as already we discussed, it will be around 3200 degrees Celsius. That will be sufficient enough to melt all the commercial metals. So that flame which is produced by burning of that oxygen and acetylene mixture, so that flame will be the heat of that flame will be sufficient enough to melt the base metal part. You can see here they have clearly given, this is a torch of the tip, this is a magnified view of this tip here, and this is the flame here. So in the flame we have three different sections here. One is inner cone here, and that is that outer envelope. So we will discuss in detail when we will start to discuss about the types of flame. That is also one of the important concept under this gas welding actually here. This is the torch tip, and this is, we can see here we have that flame here. That flame will be sufficient enough to melt the base metal part, and this, as well as we have one more filler rod here actually. Here we don't make use of any electrode and all in this case here, whereas in case of this previous arc welding case, we just make use of that electrode, consumable electrode, which will also get melted and will mix up with that molten pool of this base metal. Here we will make use of a filler rod. just to fill the gap between these two, that base metal parts which are to be joined. This filler rod will be made use here, and again that due to this heat of that flame, base metal parts will also get melted, as well as this filler rod will also get melted. So these two, that is that get mixed up readily, that is molten pool of this filler rod as well as molten pool of this base metal will readily mix up and form a molten weld pool. So this molten weld pool will be formed here, and after solidification, that will form a strong welded joint. So you can on this side that has been formed already solidified weld metal. So this has been already joined actually, whereas in this case it is that molten weld pool, and after solidification it will form a strong weld joint. So this is regarding this gas welding principle. It is very simple. Thing is, if you practice the diagram once or twice, then you can write a working principle of this axial-acetylene welding. So first let us discuss once again this axial-acetylene welding. We'll tell you how to present in that examination. First you can write this neat diagram of this axial-acetylene welding. Then you can write that this axial-acetylene welding is a fusion welding, in which we'll make use of that gas flame, a strong gas flame, to heat the base metal part as well as to melt that base metal parts. And then you can write that it consists of an oxygen cylinder to store the oxygen, as well as that acetylene cylinder to store that acetylene cylinder. These two cylinders will be provided with some pressure gauges as well as some valves, and then that these two cylinders will be connected to that welding torch with the help of hoses. And then in this is what the important component, that is welding torch. In this welding torch, mixture of oxygen and acetylene gases will be taking place in this welding torch, and that mixture of oxygen acetylene gas will comes out of this welding torch through this nozzle which will be provided here, and as soon as that mixture comes out, it will be ignited. So that will produce a strong oxyacetylene flame, and the heat of that flame will be sufficient enough to melt this base metal part, and then as well as that flame will also melt this filler rod, and thereby which it forms a molten weld pool here, and as that molten weld pool gets solidified, it forms a strong welded joint. So this is a simple basic principle behind it, oxyacetylene welding. Yes, it consists of two cylinders. One is oxygen cylinder, one is acetylene cylinder. These two cylinders are provided with some pressure gauges as well as some valves to control the flow of oxygen and acetylene, and these two will be connected to this welding torch with the help of hoses and welding torch, and this is the nozzle of that welding torch, and this is the flame. And write these two things, that is base metal parts, a filler rod, and that flame here. Again, if you don't want to write it separately, as I said, you just extend this flame, write the longer length of this flame, and at the end of the flame you can write one workpiece here and show some part of that workpiece as welded joint, and some part you can show with the dotted lines as welded pool, and write one more, that is filler rod, to this side here. And that filler rod, you can write that filler rod somewhere, as the name itself is suggesting, it's a filler one. Filler, it fills a joint between those two metal parts actually, that is filler rod. Since we don't make use of any electrode here in this case, the electrode there in case of will act as a filler there, whereas here we don't make use of any electrodes here, so we'll make use of that filler rod. So this is regarding construction part. Then comes, you can write the working principle of this oxyacetylene welding here. So oxygen and acetylene from the respective cylinders will be supplied to this welding torch, and then in the welding torch, that oxygen and acetylene will be mixed properly. That is, mixture of oxygen and acetylene will be done in this case, in the case of welding torch, and the regulators here in the welding torch will be used to control that flow of oxyacetylene mixture. The oxyacetylene mixture which is prepared in the welding torch will comes out of that welding torch through the nozzle, and as soon as it comes out, it will be ignited, and due to that ignition of that oxyacetylene gaseous mixture, it produces strong gaseous flame, and the temperature of the gaseous flame will be around 3200 degrees Celsius, and that flame, heat of that flame will be sufficient enough to melt this base metal part as well as filler rod, and as soon as that base metal part and the filler rod gets melted, it forms a molten weld pool, and this molten weld pool, after solidification, it forms a strong welded joint. That is how that welding will be done in case of this oxyacetylene gas welding. Yes, you need to write this simple working principle of oxyacetylene gas welding. I think you all understood about this oxyacetylene gas welding. Next, let us move to that one more important concept, that is this types of oxyacetylene flame. I think you might have seen in the previous diagram where with this tip of at the tip of the torch we have this inner cone and we have some outer envelope here. So we will, based on this, or we can say it as to study all these, we have that types of flame concept, that is types of oxyacetylene flames. Let us see which are all those types of oxyacetylene flames. The types of flames depends on the gas ratio, that is ratio of the parts of oxygen to the parts of acetylene gas here. So we can see that if you vary, as we said, we will make use of two different gas in case of this gas welding. One is oxygen gas, another one is acetylene gas, and you can supply these two gases in a different proportion whenever it is required, or you can supply these two gases in the same proportion. It's depending on our requirement or the requirement of that welding process there. So let us see how that that flames will be classified here. Depending on the gas ratio, the following flames are obtained. So that is what I said. If you vary these gas ratios, sometimes you can supply that oxygen in a high quantity and that acetylene in the low quantity, or sometimes you can supply that oxygen in the less quantity and that acetylene in high quantity, and sometimes you can supply that equal proportion of that oxygen and acetylene gas. So we have that first thing is neutral flame, and second thing is oxidizing flame, and one more flame is that is carburizing flame, or you can call that as reducing flame. So these three are that flames which will be resulted when you vary that gas proportions. So that when you vary that oxygen and that acetylene gas proportion, these three different flames we are going to get: neutral flame, oxidizing flame, reducing flame, or you can call this as carburizing flame. It is very easy to remember. So let us see what is that neutral flame, what is that oxidizing flame, and what is that reducing flame one by one. Again, these are also important concept. For example, if they ask that arc welding working principle, they may ask these types of oxyacetylene flames, or else if they ask that this, they may ask this oxyacetylene gas welding working principle, or they may ask this as question in case of examination, that is types of oxyacetylene flames. So don't neglect this. So these are very simple concepts actually. So first let us go for this neutral flame. So in neutral flame, you can see here we have, this is a tip of the torch, and at the tip of the, it looks like nozzle only almost. This is the tip of the torch, and we have this, you can see that this is what actually the neutral flame is. It consists of two cones here. We have this one inner white cone, and this one is that outer flame envelope, which will be bluish in color. So we will discuss what is that neutral flame in the next slide. So the diagram for this neutral flame will be this one. This is the tip of the torch, or you can say it as the nozzle part, and this is that inner white cone, and next one is that outer flame envelope, and this is that simple diagram for neutral flame. Let us see now what is a neutral flame and why that neutral flame will be generated. So actually this neutral flame is obtained by supplying equal volume of oxygen and acetylene gases. So if you supply that equal volume of oxygen gas and acetylene gas 1:1, then it will result in a neutral flame. So that neutral flame consists of a small whitish inner cone surrounded by sharply defined blue flame. So I think you might see in the diagram, you can recall that it was, there are a small whitish inner cone which will be surrounded by the sharply defined blue flame, and most of the gas welding is done using this neutral flame only. Remember that most of the gas welding will be done with the help of this neutral flame only. And here, as I said, this neutral flame is obtained when you supply that equal volume of oxygen and acetylene gases, 1:1 ratio. Then that definitely it will result in a neutral flame, and that neutral flame consists of a small whitish inner cone which will be surrounded by a sharply defined blue flame, and most of the gas weldings are done using this neutral flame. Next we will come to the second one. We have that carburizing or reducing flame. So you can see there in that carburizing and reducing flame, somewhat it is like different than that of that neutral flame. You can see there, this is again tip of that nozzle, or you can say it as a torch, tip of the torch or the nozzle part. Instead of one cone, we can see that two different cones here. One is that inner cone with this one, and another one is second one, that is you can call it as intermediate cone. And again that other thing that is same, that is outer envelope, that is you can see here, which will be that outer envelope which is same here. Whereas in the inner part we can see the two cones here. One is inner cone, another one is intermediate cone. Let us see how that carburizing flame or reducing flame will be produced. So in this case of carburizing flame, it is obtained by supplying excess acetylene in a gas ratio of around 0.95. So they have given some value here. This is not actually the thing. So this acetylene or in the carburizing reducing flame will be obtained when you supply this acetylene gas, that is excess acetylene gas. So sometimes they used to mention it as 3:1. If you supply that is 3 volume of acetylene and just 1 volume of oxygen, it will produce this carburizing or reducing flame actually, where they have given it is around gas ratio in around of 0.95. That means maximum value of acetylene gas will be produced, whereas less value of that oxygen gas will be produced there. So this is the reason why that carburizing flame will be produced. It has three cones, an inner white cone surrounded by an intermediate, again whitish cone. The second one intermediate is also one whitish cone, which is known as intermediate flame feather. That intermediate cone can also be called as intermediate flame feather. And next, the last one is that is bluish envelope flame, that is common as in case of that neutral flame. So that is what it consists of. This carburizing flame as consists of three cones. One is an inner white cone, and the second one is that is whitish intermediate cone, which can also be called as intermediate flame feather, and the last one is that is bluish envelope flame. That it is that all the different cones of that carburizing flame, and this flame is used for welding of alloy steels, cast iron and aluminium. This flame may be used for this welding of this alloy steels, cast iron and aluminium, whereas that neutral flame will be used for welding of almost all the welding applications. And here specifically this carburizing flame will be used only for welding of alloy steels, cast iron and aluminium. So remember that is carburizing flame will be used the carburizing flame will be results in when that acetylene is applied in excess, and when oxygen is supplied in less quantity, then it results in that carburizing or reducing flame. Next we have that oxidizing flame. So in that oxidizing flame you can see there it is almost similar to that of neutral flame. So that is tip of the torch or the nozzle part, and then one is shorter inner cone, and that is outer envelope. This is almost similar to that of neutral flame. Let us see how that oxidizing flame will be produced here. This is obtained when there is excess oxygen is supplied. That is oxidizing flame is obtained when there is excess of oxygen. When the oxygen is supplied in more quantity when compared to acetylene gas, that will result in this oxidizing flame. And a gas ratio will be at high range of 1.15 is to 1.15 to 1.5. That means if you supply 1.5 volume of that oxygen and just 1 volume of that acetylene, that is oxygen quantity will be more there, that results in oxidizing flame. Even some of the authors they will mention it as again 3:1, where 3 is of oxygen volume and 1 is of just acetylene volume. Reverse of that carburizing flame, where in the carburizing flame it was 3:1 and 3 is of acetylene volume, 1 is of oxygen volume. Whereas in case of this oxidizing flame, 3:1 is 3 is oxygen volume and 1 is that acetylene volume. It appears to that similar to that of neutral flame, but the inner white cone flame is shorter than that of neutral flame. Yes, as I said, this is almost similar to that of neutral flame, but only difference is that inner white cone is just shorter than that of neutral flame. Whereas in case of neutral flame, that inner whitish cone what we can see, that is somewhat of longer length. Whereas this in case of this oxidizing flame, that inner whitish cone will be somewhat shorter than that of a neutral flame, and this flame is generally used in metal cutting rather than welding, since the weld metal gets oxidized. So this oxidizing flame, it will be used for cutting operation, not for that welding operation. We'll tell you why this will not be used for welding operation. In case of this arc welding principle, we just studied what is the use of that flux which will be coated over that electrode. That flux which is coated over that electrode will form a strong gaseous, inert gaseous shield which will protect the weld pool, molten weld pool from entry of or from that atmospheric gases like oxygen and nitrogen. Why it has to be provided is, if you don't prevent that molten fuel from that oxygen and nitrogen, those atmospheric gases will come and mix up with this molten pool, and that forms some air bubbles in that molten pool, and when it gets solidified it forms a joint of very weak strength, or which it forms that giants whose strength is very less. So that's why what's happening here is, actually, if you don't prevent that atmospheric gases from that molten pool, so thing is actually that oxidizing of that molten pool will take place, and that will weakens the strength of that giant. So here also same thing, this flame is generally used in metal cutting rather than welding. So this oxidizing flame will be used for cutting operation instead of welding process, only because since the weld metal gets oxidized. If you use this oxidizing flame for the welding process, so as you all know that already in that flame itself we have that excess oxygen quantity when compared to acetylene quantity there, so that will get mixed up with that molten pool, and that may form that oxidizing of that molten pool. Again, if the giant is formed, that giant strength will be of very less. So that's why instead of producing that welded giant by using this oxidizing flame, where the giant strength will be very less, so instead of using this oxidizing flame for that welding process, we will use this oxidizing flame for metal cutting operation. Yes, this is regarding this types of flames, these types of oxyacetylene flames. I will just summarize once again these types of flames. First one is neutral flame, second one is carburizing or reducing flame, and third one is this oxidizing flame. Remember that neutral flame will be having that only two cones, that is, one is inner whitish cone and another one is outer blue envelope. So in the neutral flame will be obtained when that oxygen and acetylene are supplied in the same proportion, and this neutral flame will be used for most of the gas welding operation. That is, you need to remember regarding neutral flame. Next comes to carburizing or reducing flame. In this case of carburizing and reducing flame, when you supply that acetylene in the large quantity, then it will result in a carburizing flame. It will be having some three different cones there. One is inner whitish cone, and second one is intermediate whitish cone, and a third one is that is bluish envelope there. So you can remember that. Again, we have specific application of that carburizing flame, and we need to write it is used in welding of that alloy steel, cast iron and all those things. And third one is this one, that is that oxidizing flame. This oxidizing flame will result when that excess quantity of oxygen is supplied when compared to acetylene. So here again it is similar to that of neutral flame, whereas inner whitish cone is somewhat shorter than that of neutral flame, and this oxidizing flame will be used for metal cutting operation rather than welding, since that the weld metal gets oxidized. So in order to prevent that, we will make use of this oxidizing flame just for metal cutting operation, not for the welding process. So next, let us see what is that applications of welding. So it is you all common where that you all know that where that welding will be used. Welding is widely used in almost all industries like automobile, aircraft, construction, etc. Mainly for two purposes. And I think we just discussed in the beginning itself what is the use of this joining process. There itself, I think we might have discussed what is the application of these things and all. One thing is for fabrication process, and another one is for repair and maintenance work. This is the main application of welding in almost all the industries. Wherever you go, you can see that application of welding here. in any of the industry. You can go to automobile industry, you can see this. You can go to construction industries, you can see that welding application. You can go to aircraft industries, definitely you can see the application of this welding. And two reasons, that is, one is for fabrication work, and another reason may be repair and maintenance work. So this is the reason, that is fabrication part as well as for repair and maintenance, they will make use of this welding process. So that is what we are, I think we just discussed this thing in the beginning itself. So where we go, when we started to discuss about the joining process, so for, and it just is like fabrication process. So for that fabrication we want all the joining process, and out of this welding is the main joining process. And this is enough for today's class.